Hey everybody, it's Paddy here from OddsOnFPL. I'm just going to be going through my team. Hopefully it will help you a little bit. The last 3 years we've gotten inside the top 50k. It's been pretty good. It's based on odds. It's also based on a few other things like fixtures, predictions, things like that, clean sheets. Essentially it's decent enough. No way to my own horn or anything like that. So first up on the selection, it's Robert Sanchez. Robert Sanchez is playing for Brighton. At 4.5 million, I expected him to be in a lot of people's teams. And at 25.5% of the total teams, it makes a lot of sense that he is. One thing which I considered from the start was that, there's quite a few people who weren't considering him in their team because of the fact they wanted other players like Meslier at 5 million or Emi Martinez. I think at 4.5 he's the perfect price for a goalkeeper to consider. When it comes to the defense, there's quite a few people in here, which I'd say quite a lot of people have. The one which is of note is Tsimikas. He's 4 million for a Liverpool starting left back. If you're not choosing him, you're not playing the game right. Sorry to tell you how to play, but you just don't get opportunities like this in fantasy football. He's an attacking wingback, and he should get points. Obviously, it's a short-term pick because Robertson is first choice, but he's out injured. Still not known fully how long he's out for, but I do think that Tsimikas will be a good short-term pick anyway. Next up is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Everybody knows Trent by this stage. He's the gold standard when it comes to fantasy football defenders. He offers so much. At 7.5 million, he's almost even a bargain. His upside's so high. People remember the Leicester game where he scored 21 points or even more. He just offers so much. Next up is Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw last season was immense. He created so many chances. He takes set pieces. His attacking output has improved. He's getting assists. He's scoring goals. He's arguably the best left back in the world right now. My only fear is that we won't have Varane or Henderson for the first couple of games, which means that clean sheets are less likely than normal. So there is that bit of a risk, but I do think he's got a lot of upside. And Man United's opening 7 fixtures are very attractive. You would want a player like Luke Shaw in it, purely because of his attacking output, his clean sheets, things like that. The final choice is Ben Chilwell. He is the first choice at left back for Chelsea. He offers a great option going forward. He's scored 3 times and assisted 6 times last year while not starting every game. There is the slight fear that he won't start, but you have to take chances like that in fantasy football. I think he will start. He's got so much about him. He can score goals, he can assist. He's the modern fullback. And at Chelsea, he should get a lot of clean sheets. As Tuchel came in, they just started keeping more and more clean sheets, and they just look so solid at the back. Next up is the team reveal for midfield. There's Fernandes, Salah, and Gundogan. One of these players is Gundogan, who a lot of people probably wouldn't have suggested or thought of. I think Gundogan had his best spell last season while KDB was out, and he's been scoring in pre-season too. I have so little Man City coverage because their first fixtures against Spurs, and a lot of people don't find it attractive. But Gundogan, as an attacking midfielder, when he does get to play there, scores goals. He finds spaces. He's a good shooter, and it's just something which is interesting. He's almost a bit of a differential too at 8.5% ownership. Next up is my captain and my vice captain. We'll start with the vice. It's Bruno Fernandes. What more do you have to say about Bruno Fernandes? He scores, he assists, he does everything. He takes penalties. I know there may not be as many next year, but he's just a point magnet. He gets points. It doesn't matter. He can play awful. He'll score. He'll get an assist. And then you'll be like, oh, my game week is saved. Same goes for Salah. He's the captain. If you don't captain against Norwich, when would you? He scores goals. He assists. He's going to get 200 plus points easily this season. He always does. He'll get 20 odd goals. At 12.5 million, he's one of those players that's essential, really. I don't really like saying essential, but it's something that you have to consider. Next up is the reveal for the forwards in the team. In the team, there's Danny Ings whilst at Southampton he didn't particularly interest me because Southampton's offensive power wasn't that great, but at Aston Villa I could see him scoring a lot more goals. If you look at Watkins last year, he came in from the Championship, scored loads of goals. Obviously that's without Grealish's input, but then they've also signed a lot of players like Leon Bailey, Buendia, so there is still creativity in that side. He's proven himself at this level. I think he'll probably score 15 plus goals this season. He's got better service. He could be one of those players. He's a season keeper. At 8 million, he's a bit of a premium price, but he does interest me. Next up is Ivan Toney. He scored loads of goals in the Championship last season, which is a different standard, obviously, but he is an interesting pick, especially for somebody to, like, they've got Arsenal first game. They could score on that. He's an interesting pick basically because he just scores goals for fun. I had thought initially that I was going to pick Timu Pukki, but Norwich's fixtures aren't good enough, really. So I picked Ivan Toney, 6.5 million. There isn't a lot of choice at that price point. There is players like Cucho at Watford who's 5 million, but doesn't quite interest me in the same way that Ivan Toney does. Next up is Mikel Antonio. He's an absolutely great forward. I can't believe he spent so much of his career playing as a right wing or a right back. And then David Moyes does what he does so often with players out of position and puts them up top. He did it with Arnautovic, he's done it now with Mikel Antonio. It just works. He's just a fantastic striker and he can score goals. The one issue with him is injuries, and that is a bit of a worry. In terms of their opening fixture, it's against Newcastle, which really should be a good litmus test for seeing how West Ham performed this year. A lot of people, like West Ham fans, aren't seeing that they'll do as well this season because of the fact they haven't made signings, they haven't done things like that. But personally, I think West Ham have a lot of good players and they can still continue to do well. Obviously, they have no Lingard, but that could change late in the window. For the final part of the team reveal, it's my bench. I didn't spend a lot of money on the bench, as you can see. It's pretty much the cheapest prices that you can get. Angus Gunn at 4 million is a second choice goalkeeper at Norwich. The one thing why I didn't go for Ben Foster was because of the fact I don't think Ben Foster's going to start and his ownership is massive. If people sell him, his price drops. Then you have a 3.9 million goalkeeper, which just makes it difficult to get out of. Angus Gunn on the contrasting end is 1.6% owned. I don't think he's that far away from becoming first choice goalkeeper, but the one thing with Angus Gunn is his last game in the Premiership was the 9-0 loss for Southampton. So that was the game against Leicester. It's mentioned every single time they play each other. So the thing is with him, he's not a bad goalkeeper. He was ranked very highly a few years ago. So he spent the last season out on loan at Stoke, got 15 games. So he's not that out of form, or at least out of experience. There is potential there. He was previously rated as a future England goalkeeper. So there is still a bit of talent there. Jack Harrison was the next player on my team. He was the 6th highest point scoring midfielder last season. He's only 6 million. I don't want to play him against Man United because I don't think he'll score. Don't think his points are great, but Leeds, you never know. I don't think I'd start him over anybody, but Tsimikas may not start. So if Tsimikas doesn't start, then it means that I could get lucky and then, he could come on. But, it's a good option to have on a bench and it does work out longer term. I did think that because of the fact he's got such a low ownership, even at 6 million, I think the main reason why it's so low is because a lot of people want Rafinha. I do too, but the 0.5 million doesn't make it easy. Next up is Daniel Amartey. He started in the Charity Shields against Man City. He played well. I do think that the only reason I'd pick him for this week is in case Tsimikas and Chilwell don't start. I want a starting 5th choice centre back, so I do at least have 3. So if Tsimikas and Chilwell don't play, then at least I've got Amartey. I was considering bringing in Andrew Omabamidele. Struggled to say that, even though he's Irish. But that was mainly I just didn't want to bring in another Norwich defender. I think Amartey will start in the first few games, but Omabamidele as well. I don't know how many games he'll start. At 4 million, you just have to take chances on these things. The worry for Tsimikas is that Milner could play left back, but I do believe that he'll be playing in centre midfield. The final choice is Brownhill. There's not much to say about him. He plays sometimes on the right wing, sometimes as a centre midfielder. He gets a shot a game. He's not that bad, but The final option is between Brownhill or Basuma. I'm picking the player who concedes, or well, not concedes, but the player who gets less yellow cards. I'm expecting 2 or 3 points from him every game, and it's good to have a player like that on your bench. It could turn out to be someone like Jack Cork who was scoring goals. So yeah, that is my full team reveal. If you have any comments on it, send me a message on Twitter. That's at OddsOnFPL. If there's anything that you want to chat about, send me a DM or even comments on it. Even put a comment on the video, I'll get back to you. Hopefully this team has helped you with yours. I think if you weren't captaining somebody like Salah this week, you're putting yourself at risk. Salah or Fernandes, they're both good picks. They both probably should be in your team. You should have Tsimikas, and then there are a few other players that a lot of people will have in it. So that's pretty much my team. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask. There's the reveal. Don't forget, subscribe, like, all those things that people tell you to do. Cheers for watching. Chat to you later. See ya.